daffodils are at that peak.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Another winter storm is hitting Southern California, bringing heavy winds, rain, snow, and whiteout conditions to the San Gabriel Mountains Tuesday. Right now, more than 171,000 power customers have no lights, and that number could actually grow. The atmospheric river is expected to dump more rain and snow today, and flood watches cover the Central Coast and San Joaquin Valley. Tuesday morning, officials in Los Angeles reported up to 2 inches of rain and 8 inches of mountain snow in the region. A California highway is closed this morning after at least 7 landslides. Caltrans released this video right here that shows the most active landslide completely blocking State Highway 70. Now that's just east of Chico. Caltrans is waiting for a stretch of dry weather to work on them, so there's no timetable right now when that road will reopen. Meanwhile, folks who live in South Lake Tahoe are used to the snow, but 12 back-to-back atmospheric rivers are turning their usual winter wonderland into a bit of a nightmare. Madison McKay reports on damaged buildings and the snow left behind.
113 damaged buildings.
Snow's not going away.
11 structure collapses.
At times I couldn't see the building across the other side of the parking lot because there was such a huge mound of snow.
If you plan on coming to South Lake Tahoe anytime soon, this is what you might run into. Cars completely covered in snow.
This winter really is unprecedented.
With over 52 feet of snow and counting this season, communities like South Lake Tahoe suffered when an atmospheric river event added rainfall to this already hectic winter.
Compounded with the rainfall has created a situation that's dangerous.
Out of the 113 damaged buildings in South Lake Tahoe, 22 of those buildings have been red tagged.
When there's a building that's unsafe, it gets red tagged by the building department or our fire marshal, and that just means they can't go in until the repairs have been done.
Buildings like this Swiss Mart gas station unable to hold the snow load. And this Raley's and State Line, its roof completely collapsed.
The flooding in California has been so severe it's forced dairy farmers to move their cows to higher ground. And it's not just the cows that are in danger. The crops they eat are also at risk. Rich Rodriguez is in Fresno with more.
Come Thursday, this whole place was underwater. I was worried the cows were all going to drown. So we made the decision to get a bunch of trucks, friends, family. We were able to haul all the cows off.
Coote says it took 2 days to move 1,200 cows to his father-in-law's, his cousins, and another place that takes farm animals. Flooding at the Mendonça Dairy in Tulare forced them to evacuate the herd.
We had to evacuate about 1,000 head that were on the lower part of the dairy. So we did that by having a bunch of trailers come in, and we took some to our neighbors that were up higher ground.
Dairymen grow various crops to feed their cows. Right now, these two say it doesn't look good.
Our crops of wheat right now, some of them, they might survive. The ones that took the blunt of the water, where it was basically a river running right through it.
If these fields don't yield or they all die, I'm in trouble feeding the cows in the future. So I don't know if I'm going to start this place up or call it quit and then just cut my losses.
Many dairies have had their feed damaged. So there is a variety of challenges with replacing silage and getting alfalfa, onto some of the replacement locations.
Moving cows to higher ground has been priority number 1 for Coote and Mendonça. They say when the storms pass, they'll size up their losses and see how they overcome the flood of 2023.
One contributing factor to the wild weather in California is a rare phenomenon called the Fujiwara Effect. It's something most people have simply never heard of. So let's turn to meteorologist John Gum to explain.
Across portions of California here around the San Francisco Bay Area, winds over 60 miles an hour toppled trees, knocked power out, and a rare meteorological phenomenon occurred off the coast here. Watch this radar loop. It's going to restart. There are actually 2 areas of low pressure here that rotate around each other before one basically eats the other as it runs into San Francisco today. This is something that's rare in meteorology. It's called the Fujiwara Effect, named after the Japanese meteorologist, where you have these two lows rotating around a bigger low, then rotating around each other. Eventually, one basically absorbs the other and becomes even stronger, and that is what created the high winds today in portions of Northern California. Just a rarity to see this actually happen in nature.
1 year ago this week, a tornado roared through the city of Round Rock, Texas, north of Austin. Nearly 700 homes were hit, and it caused roughly $32 million in damage. Betty Cross learned that many homes have been rebuilt, but some are still missing windows and walls.
1 year after the tornadoes, there is a huge difference in how quickly people have been able to recover. This house has been completely rebuilt, but go 2 houses over and another one is still under construction.
Feels good.
Michael Talamontes is relieved to finally have a roof over his head. This is what his house looks like today. But this was his home 1 year ago.
Everything was demolished.
The only room left standing last March was a bathroom where the family took shelter.
And it feels great to have my roof on, and my house is starting to look like my house again.
In addition to Michael's home, several others are still being rebuilt.
It's just kind of learn as you go, and not every step is in the right direction.
Many of those who experienced the March tornadoes say their biggest takeaway is to be better prepared the next time a tornado watch or warning is in effect.
I saw the tornado travel down I-35. I realized what I was looking at, and I just realized, oh, wow, I need to take this way more seriously than I did.
State Representative Caroline Harris represents Round Rock. She says everyone needs a plan in place before there's an emergency. Michael says a garage door and electricity are his next priorities. By this time next year, he hopes to be living in his home, not just working on it.
Well, severe weather can happen at any time of year, including tornadoes, but conditions tend to be more ripe for twisters in the spring and summer months. Meteorologist Marshall McPeak has a preview of some weather alert language you'll hear during the season and safety plan reminders if you find yourself in a severe weather situation.
Watches, warnings, and advisories pop up pretty often. A watch means that the conditions are favorable for severe weather. In other words, we have all the ingredients we need for it to happen, but it's not actually happening yet. Warnings mean it's happening or it's about to happen. Not only do we have the ingredients, but they've come together, and now we need to take action and take shelter. For an advisory, it means be weather aware, because there may be some difficult weather in the offing. In the meantime, when there is a tornado warning, you hope that it doesn't happen anywhere near you, but if it does, you need a safety plan. And for tornado warnings, the actionable item is get to your safe shelter. If you have a house with a basement, that's the best place to go. If you don't have a basement, an interior room, might be a bathroom, might be a closet, but you want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So go to the lowest floor, whatever's available where you live, get to the center of the house. Again, as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and avoid windows, because if there is flying debris, you don't want that or the glass to affect you in your safe shelter. And cover your head. If you've got a helmet, great. Blankets will work as well, or at least a pillow, something to protect you just in case that debris does happen.
And NASA is ending a 15-year mission studying clouds at the edge of space due to battery issues. The spacecraft AIM is no longer supporting operations. Decline in battery power has made it unable to receive command or collect data. NASA will monitor the spacecraft in the event that it is able to reboot and send a signal. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how monk seals are adapting to rising sea levels.
Hi, everyone. I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a wide range in temperatures in the Northeast today. Notice some areas in southern New England, New York, and New Jersey. You'll be in the 50s to near 60 degrees. A large portion of eastern New England, there'll be an onshore wind, so we're running the 40s. Extreme northern Maine, we're quite a bit cooler there. Now, today looks okay with skies becoming mostly sunny for many areas. There'll be some clouds that mix in here and there. Our next round of wet weather, that should be arriving late tonight and more so on Thursday.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off with clouds. Notice some rain, though, moving its way towards central and southern Virginia as we head into the midday and afternoon hours. So could have some wet roadways there as our next weather maker moves through. But for everybody else, primarily just some clouds. And for the most part, a milder day, especially outside of the rainy areas as we get up to 63 in Baltimore, 61 at Richmond, and 61 in Philly. That's the scene here.
And a good morning to you. I'm meteorologist Michael Lambert. Here's a look at your southeast regional forecast for this midweek Wednesday. Some showers and storms for portions of Tennessee, in the Carolinas, and maybe parts of southeast South Carolina. Otherwise, high pressure giving plenty of sunshine for the rest of the southeast, with temperatures beginning to warm up. It'll be in the 50s and 60s over parts of Tennessee and the Carolinas. 70s for most areas north of I-10, with 80s from Jacksonville south into South Florida.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
It is severe weather week in West Virginia. Meteorologists are highlighting ways to stay safe in severe and also, of course, dangerous weather. Let's head to Charleston, where meteorologist Brandon Lawson has tips for staying safe during intense lightning storms.
Lightning is perhaps one of the most underrated weather hazards when it comes to severe weather. On average, only floods kill more people. Lightning is the first thunderstorm hazard to arrive and the last to leave. It strikes Earth about 25 million times a year. It's hotter than the surface of the sun. It can be as hot as 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And as the air heats up that hot, it causes the air to explode outward, giving us that thunder sound. So what should you do when you hear thunder roar or you see lightning? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to get indoors from whatever activity you might be doing. Go to a shelter, a sturdy shelter, especially with severe storms. That'll keep you away from the possibility of lightning strikes, and also keeps you away from possibly those damaging winds, large hail, or even the possibility of tornadoes. Also, if you're stuck outside, you don't really have anywhere else to go, the next best thing would be a vehicle, a metal frame vehicle at that is enclosed. That way, if the lightning strikes a vehicle, it can go through the metal frame and down into the ground, and you wouldn't have to worry about the lightning yourself. But if you are using the vehicle, make sure you're not touching any of the outside of the vehicle, the radio. You want to have your arms and your body inside the vehicle at all times during the thunderstorm. Now, you also want to know the difference between watches and warnings. When it comes down to a severe thunderstorm watch, it means a severe thunderstorm is possible. You want to be prepared to seek shelter. But during a severe thunderstorm warning, it's time to take action. That means that a severe thunderstorm is happening now or is imminent, so you want to take action and stay away from the windows, get to the interior portion of your house possible, and also on the lowest level of your house as well. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson.
Well, today is International Day of the Seal, and one species, the Hawaiian monk seals, are endangered and being forced from their low-lying homes due to sea level rise. Emily Gracie spoke to a NOAA scientist who is leading the effort to move these seals to higher ground.
Hawaiian monk seals are particularly unique because they're the world's only tropical seal. They're one of only two mammals that is native to Hawaii as well, and they are endangered. However, We have some good news about the species, which is to say that after decades of decline, their population is starting to show signs of recovery.
What hazards are they facing because of climate change?
Hawaiian monk seals are facing terrestrial habitat loss, and that is from sea level rise, also increasing intensity of storms that further erode beaches are another impact that cumulatively impacts the terrestrial habitat that they need.
It sounds like you have found a solution to this in the way of moving them. Can you tell me the process of that?
We take a lot of precautions. So they are safely contained in large containers, either on ships or on cargo planes. They're monitored by trained veterinary staff and biologists that are looking very carefully at their behavior, looking for signs of stress, providing for their thermoregulatory needs and their nutritional needs during transport. And so we have learned over time that they're very resilient in terms of these types of transports, especially because most of the time when we're moving seals, we're tending to focus on the relatively younger seals, and those pups of the year are still kind of learning about the natural world, and they're pretty resilient and robust to things like being transported around on a ship.
So I'm guessing if they can handle the ship, they can handle their new homes okay? How is that going?
Yeah. We've learned a lot over the years about how to help seals reacclimate to a new place. And again, when we focus primarily on those younger seals, they tend to not really notice too much of a difference. They'll tend to kind of stay to where they were released when they're younger. It can get a little bit more challenging with older animals, though.
For many, spring means time to hit the outdoors and see what plant life is starting to emerge. For a few weeks every year, hikers make the trip to Linville Gorge and Wilderness in Asheville, North Carolina, in hopes of seeing daffodil flats in full bloom. Andrew James has more.
The Linville Gorge, sometimes referred to as the Grand Canyon of the East, is known for having some of the most rugged terrain in North Carolina. The breathtaking views of Short-Off Mountain and Table Rock can sometimes overshadow what you can find if you make the difficult hike to the floor of the gorge.
It's a short window, usually about 3 weekends when the daffodils are at that peak, and we see hundreds of people each day doing the trek down to see the daffodils.
But before you can enjoy the beauty of Daffodil Flats, you have to get there.
Going to Daffodil Flats should not be your first experience in backcountry hiking. You're starting at the rims on the side and you're descending over 1,000 vertical feet into the gorge.
The hikers we met along the way, hoping to catch the flowers in full bloom, say it was well worth the trip.
You are a little flower fairy.
It's just been peaceful. Like, you have the dull roar of the river and you've got some birds, and like finally, like, the little bugs are landing on your skin.
You're talking about that too.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I miss this feeling. Yeah.
According to the U.S. Forest Service, Daffodil Flats is an old home site that washed away in the early 1900s. This field of flowers now bringing people back to this area for the view.
You've got an acre of daffodils in full bloom. It's just absolutely spectacular.
And others, of course, want the pictures for social media.
I feel like a daffodil.
And some just looking for a chance to escape.
I would want everybody to experience what we experienced today. Like, it's been such a beautiful day.
Meteorologist Alan Sills recently captured a unique type of cloud formation in the sky and thought it would make for a nice lesson on something called hole punch clouds. Here's Alan from Mobile, Alabama.
But it's something that happens pretty frequently if you take the time to look up. There's a sheet of altocumulus clouds, but right in the middle of it, across Mobile County, a hole in the clouds. The sheet of altocumulus clouds is about 5 miles above the ground. It's 20 degrees below zero, but it's made of water droplets that aren't frozen. In the middle of it, you actually have ice crystals that are falling. And the nickname for this is hole punch cloud because it looks like somebody punched a hole in the cloud. Now, it happens pretty frequently when an airplane flies through altocumulus clouds at a very steep angle. It upsets the balance of the clouds, and the water droplets instantly turn to ice and they begin to fall. The Latin name for it is cavum, as in cavity, and it's also called a fall streak hole because the ice crystals are falling. Look at this one. Another version of it from a different angle called an ice canal. And that's when the airplane flies right at the same level of the altocumulus clouds, turning the water droplets to ice, and the ice begins to fall. Pretty unique scene, but it does happen frequently. If you take the time to look, you'll never know what you may find. Always interesting to find a hole punch cloud. I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
Time now for a short break. As we go, we'll head to the skies above the Guest River Gorge in Southern Virginia.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. The snow in the Dakotas has now shifted its way into the upper Great Lakes. And we've got some rain across the Ohio Valley, even out towards Missouri there. Now, as we head into the day tomorrow, that rain not really moving a whole lot for us. Matter of fact, it picks up in intensity for your Thursday. Still pretty quiet across the northern plains, and even some heavier rain across the Ohio River Valley heading into your Friday.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Things are a little warm this morning, also a little humid and a little dreary. We're seeing 70s, 60s all the way back up into Oklahoma City. Lots of Gulf moisture providing a little bit of some fog and drizzle this morning. Light rain extends all the way into Louisiana and into Arkansas. We will be keeping our eye on that next front as it approaches late Friday and into Thursday. Could start some big storms. Otherwise, temperatures today, they warm up into the 80s. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi, everybody, and a happy Wednesday to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we're still cleaning up again. In California, another day of heavy rain pushing through the Golden State. Highs just in the 50s in San Francisco and L.A. versus low 60s with some sunshine in the Rose City of Portland, Oregon. Back up into the 30s, we're making some progress out of Jackson Hole. Current weather makers, a pair of disturbances moving into the southwest as we head into our Wednesday. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Many of us are thinking about getting outside into our yards or maybe starting our spring cleaning, but there are some things to consider before getting out and planting those vegetables. Meteorologist Christina Ernie explains.
March through May, invertebrates like bees and butterflies are just trying to stay safe before they emerge from their eggs and cocoons. And the way they do it, well, they're nesting in your dead plant matter left over from last season. As a result, you need to wait to do that spring cleanup. When do you know it's safe? The 3 B's. Number 1, be patient. Wait until temperatures are consistently in the 50s for your lows and into your highs. If it's safe for tomatoes to survive, that means that your bees are probably out and about. Number 2, be observant to weather patterns. Make sure that you're not doing any cleanup before big spring storms like heavy rains or high wind. It's because eggs and cocoons are in those debris trying to stay safe. Number 3, be respectful. Without bees, without pollinators, our flora suffers. So make sure that you keep that insecticide away until later in the season and keep animals away too.
And thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll talk with an inside source about NASA's brand new space suits. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Wednesday, and we'll see you right back here